Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Today we have our topic panel discussion for juggling and the community. And juggling is a great personal endeavour and pastime, and many jugglers spend countless hours alone practicing their skills. But juggling can be very social too, and many jugglers would consider themselves belonging or participating in the wider global juggling community. Within this global juggling community, many jugglers use their various skills to reach out to the wider community to help enrich people's lives. In today's panel, we will talk about juggling and the community. Please help me welcome to the panel today Simone Campo, who in 2008, at the age of 15, was the Dutch champion in ball juggling. He's organised the NJF in 2014. He's the current board member of the Jongleer Collective Limburg and chairman of the Open Dutch Championships, in addition to heading up this year's EJC media team. And next, I'd like to introduce Till and Deniz from TADAH Artist Habitat. And then we also have with us today Bags and Valentina from Performers Without Borders. Welcome, guys. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. So, Simon, I'm usually starting the panel with how did you start juggling?
Yeah, I was already interested when I was 6 years old, and I was doing juggling all the wrong way. And then using the internet, I improved my juggling with GIFs, showing tricks. And later I went to Jongleer Collective Limburg, and there it really boosted my juggling, and went to juggling conventions as well.
And tell us about your role here at the convention this year at the EJC.
Yeah, so I'm team media, so we're responsible for all the promotion up front of the convention, and during the convention now I'm doing also the communication to the visitors. But like all the designs, all the graphic designs I did, the t-shirts and the program booklet and the website and Facebook and everything. So
yeah, lots and lots of stuff. Because you're also studying a master's in industrial design.
Yes,
I believe, and you specialize in community design.
Yeah.
So how does that complement your involvement with the juggling community?
Yeah, so it's really inspired from the juggling community, because it's like you already know how it feels, how it should work, and now I'm really doing the research how in theory it will work, and I'm looking how you can use communities also in the design process, because, for example, this convention also is like a product. You can see it as a product. So in that way, I see what communities can do in creating stuff, you can say. So.
Fabulous. Well, this looks like there's very exciting things happening for you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Till and Deniz, how are you? Yes. How did you guys start juggling, or what you do? Yes.
So basically I was 19, so I started really late, traveling in Thailand and Southeast Asia, and I met actually an Israeli dude who first I saw juggling around with the flower stick, and like everybody I was like, oh, there gotta be magnets in it or strings or something, and there's some magic about it. And so I started to juggle everything a little bit, and then over the years it distilled to got more to a professional shape.
Interesting. What about you, Deniz?
Everything started with seeing a flyer in Turkey. It was the first juggling picnic ever, 2013, I think, April. Yeah, and then I went there, and it was the most beautiful community I ever saw until that point.
So tell us about the TADAH Artist Habitat that is in Turkey.
Yes. Yeah, it is in Turkey.
Yeah, please
indeed.
Tell us all about the project.
In the south of Turkey, in Antalya. TADAH is actually a shortcut for Till's and Deniz Artist Habitat.
Yes.
So, in the name, it started with a dream of ours, but which we want to share with all the world, actually. We created a home, first of all, for ourselves, where we live and where we also can train, and we want to share it with the whole world. Maybe you
So yeah, it kind of happened accidentally. So because we moved there to the countryside, and we were living actually with Deniz's grandma and grandpa on the countryside in the middle of nowhere in Antalya, and they were really happy to have us, and we were really happy to be able to stay there. But but we came to a point where we realized that we can only go on as performers and artists if we do have also a place to train and a place to meet other people. I mean, you know, the art is not inventing itself in out of the thin air, but you always need this community aspect, you need this interchange, you need to see other people, you need to even copy them, you know. And
so the project is that you have a property that you have created this amazing facility where people can come and train, and you host workshops, and you can also house people there like in a hostel style. You also take on volunteers, and you have a sustainable permaculture farm. So it is really a place where people can come and be a community, and artists to be a community, because you have that two levels. You have the people that come for the training, and then the volunteers. Is that right?
That's two of them, and also you mentioned the last one as well. You've done a good job in informing yourself already. So basically we have these three aspects of it. We do organize workshops with international, very well-known teachers from all over the world, of all segments, like Stefan Singh and Christiana had been doing some juggling and dance. Others, like now Nick Woolsey is coming this year for
yes, I saw that, a poi.
And Gail O'Brien.
Yes.
So there is like poi and like dance and yoga and hula hoop and whatever going on this side. And then we have what we call artist residency, and that is more where the co-living, if we want to term it this way, takes place. So people come, stay for a very affordable amount. Basically, they only have to sub-rent their flat in wherever they live, and they come over, and we all live and train together and share this big house, because otherwise we would have no need for it, and also we could not, how's it called in English, maintain it. Like we, of course, with such a big structure that we have, it's as you said, we have like big gardens, and we've built this 100 square meter really big studio, and the house next to it, and all of that needs to be maintained. So it's also working in this way that all of us live together. They're like flatmates in a way. Often people that search internationally for a place where they can stay and train and focus over winter. Because oftentimes in European countries it's kind of hard to find a good training center and too cold. And since our winter is pretty much like we experience at the moment here, what the Dutch people somehow call 50-50 summer like clouds, it's a pleasant space to co-create, co-live, co-whatever, you know, co-grow food in the garden, as you mentioned, and all of that.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. We'll come back with probably some more information very soon. Bags and Valentina, thank you. You're joining us from Performers Without Borders. How did you start juggling bags?
I got into juggling and circus skills I'd done it for a while as a child, but then when I went to university there was a circus society there, and that was all incredibly inspiring for me, and I got really, really deep into it at that point, I think. Oh, and then I went to taught circus skills at a summer camp in the States, and that's when I really developed a love of teaching kids circus.
Okay.
That sort of cemented that, yeah.
Excellent. And what about you, Valentina?
I started to dance when I was really young. About 12 years old, and then I picked up a hula hoop when I was like 20, and kind of combined the two forms together, and then about 3 or 4 years ago he taught me how to juggle, and I've been juggling hoops mostly ever since then. So yeah.
So tell us, what is Performers Without Borders for people that may not know what the organization does?
So Performers Without Borders teaches circus skills and performing arts to vulnerable children in countries of high child poverty. So we take a team of people, it's a sustainable thing, we do it each year, we take a team of people and work with a few organizations in each country. At the moment we've got projects in Kenya and India and Nicaragua, and we'll go there for about 3 months, and we'll work with a few different organizations, and we'll spend 3 or 4 weeks working with the same kids and teaching them circus skills, and then doing a little presentation with them at the end. And yeah, and then we leave some circus. And in fact, in Kenya, we've worked with the same organisation that Arthur was talking about.
When you say you're like, there's a team of you. What's the process for selecting the team that that goes?
So there's volunteer applications open at the moment. So you apply to work with the team, and then we have a few volunteers who run it and organize and do interviews, and then a team of about 8 people are chosen for each project.
Okay. And could you share with us how many have you done, and can you share some of your experiences
Absolutely,
with us?
yes. I've done 3 projects. I've done did one in India, 2007-2008, which is the first project we did with PWB project.
So the first project ever you were involved in.
Yeah,
What year was
yeah.
that, sorry?
That was 2007-2008.
Okay. So
And,
you're almost coming up to 10 years of...
Yes, I guess so,
mhm.
yes. And then I did another project with them in 2013, and then in 2004, and that was in Nicaragua. And then 2014, Valentina and I did a project with them in Nicaragua again.
Is there one experience, one story that you can think of that you'd like to share with the viewers?
I don't know about one experience. It's such a wonderful feeling taking something that I'm passionate about and that means so much to me, and then getting to teach it to other kids and seeing how much it makes them come alive. You know, that when you turn up, they're excited, but they're not necessarily, they could be quite shy, and then by the end of it, you've just made all these friends, and they're so enthused about the whole experience, and you can really see circus like lighting these children up. It's amazing.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's such a wonderful Do you have
I can talk about one experience.
Yes,
just
please.
from going to Nicaragua in 2014, I'll never forget, we taught some of the teenagers fire dancing, and I will never forget watching a 16-year-old Nicaraguan girl fire hoop for the first time, and it just has stayed with me since then, just watching her really come alive, like you said, and become herself in this way that I hadn't seen her express herself through the 3 months or whatever that we were with her. It was beautiful, and I will never forget it. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, I might actually pose the first discussion question to you guys. In what ways do you think that juggling benefits the wider community?
Should I start with that? Well, certainly the reasons we're doing it as a community outreach project is, most of it's coming from people that have been changed. I think most of the volunteers have found that it's really given them something. It's increased their confidence. It's increased their giving them an artistic expression. So for me to then be able to teach that to other kids, particularly these vulnerable kids in quite low-income areas, it gives them an artistic outlet. They can learn social skills through it. They can build their self-confidence, and it can help them to find their place in their community because they've built all these fundamental skills which they might not necessarily be having access to.
Simon, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I completely agree. It's for me, it's more like for jugglers, themselves, because the community has brought me so much, that's taught me so much. So for me, it's now a way of giving back and also teaching others that experience of giving others that experience. So yeah, I can completely agree with them.
And how about you guys? What do you think? How do you think the juggling benefits the wider community? Do you, with the TADAH Artist Habitat, is it within the borders of the Artist Habitat, or do you have any involvement outside of in the local community or in TADAH, or any events that might be happening in that area?
You want to start with that, or should I say? Like in the area itself, it's as I mentioned, it's a very rural area. So the most we get to juggling is when we play a little bit soccer with the kids of the neighborhood or something like this. Basically, they wouldn't even know what juggling is. I doubt they would even know the word for it. So it's a really abstract thing. Where community building does take place in TADAH is more on the actual level of jugglers, performers themselves. So it's I really appreciate the work you're doing in Nicaragua and all over the world, and had also been how's it called? Has been participating in the Cirque Social des Sur, but in South America, which is making a great work there, which is really similar to that. But that is on the beginning of it, and then when they've been grown-ups, when they not the Dutch champion of 14 years old anymore, but when we sit at the table together. Then actually it's the time when they meet up all at TADAH. And for example, just to stay really present time, at the moment there is an Iranian girl that is a painter living in TADAH, and then there was this rhythm gymnast woman from Tunisia, a Colombian rope artist, and an Australian ball juggler. So that was the setup, which is 2 weeks ago, just when we left. And it's just really interesting to see these people that should be kind of you know, the same type of circus community, but still are worlds apart, you know? Like, even within our very plural community, the rope artist, the aerialist, is not necessarily hanging out with the yo-yo, like five yo-yo up pirouette spinner, you know? So it is very interesting to see all those crossovers and to see like also all the similarities that they have in the way they practice, the way they perform. They might be disciplined, or they're more like on the party side of things, and like how that fits all together, and then see them like falling in love actually as well, you know, like.
Because it's interesting in that sense. Is I think, as I mentioned in the introduction, juggling can be a very solitary activity, but also very social on the other side. And I guess this is the two sides of the coin here, is that sometimes you need to go, or you feel you need to go and have that time where you can develop yourself and a better understanding of yourself, and possibly then to be able to go and be more of an outreach kind of, if that you find that's your calling or your
from
passion.
That side, I mean,
Yes.
I'm totally waiting for the Nicaraguan kids. You know, once they're able to finance their first ticket, they definitely, if they are, hopefully they will. They definitely going to come to the EJC, and that's the crazy thing about it. Like when you're traveling in South America or anywhere in the world, everybody knows the juggling catacombs in Berlin. You know, like wherever you are in the world, or like. And like they have the same idols, they have the same people that they talk about. It's so all of a sudden you have something like, I'm sure we would have something to talk about this Afghan circus, that there is this video of the Afghan circus now around. I'm sure I would have something to talk about with those people, you know, just because we're coming from the same roots, just because we have the same ideals, ways of expression, fantasies, dreams, all of that. You know, it's melting together.
And we all have juggling in common, but in my experience, and other people that I've spoken to, it seems that some people are a little bit more driven to sort of participate in sharing that than other people. Do you have any, like in your experience, do you have any ideas why that might be the case?
How exactly?
Oh, like, sorry. So some people are more driven to share the juggling and be involved in projects like yours or the outreach. Why do you think that people might be like this?
I don't know, but people who come to visit us, of course, there are also many people who really wants to focus on their art and or their juggling or what they do. And for example, they really need a retreat place where they are protected from any, they don't have to think about other stuff, just being in the nature and concentrate on what they actually want to do in their skills, or general, do they really want to be an artist for their life, and think about all this. But it's not quite the answer of your question, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to make the bow from that and going into what you've asked. I think it is kind of the answer as well, because what we've experienced a lot is it sounds a little bit like judging almost in a way when you say like, oh, there's some people who like have more the drive to community and stuff, and it can get a burden, you know. Not everybody is made for that, you know. It's just not everybody is made to like go extrovert yourself, you know, go have an influence on other, and it might almost be like troubling for some people even to feel that urge from the community. We totally believe, and we see it being proven every day at TADAH, that everybody has specific abilities, just they're very varied, you know. Like, as useless one might be to help me in the garden or help us in the garden planting anything at all, he might be a great guitar player, and he might actually to play, even though he's like not looking to you, but he's going to play like all like this, but you're enjoying it and you love it. So, and you can see part of his beauty within, without having to opening him like a can, you know. Yes. And so some people come with a big impetus, with a big ambition to change the world to us. Others come just mainly, at least on the surface, thinking about themselves, thinking about their skill, thinking about, okay, I'm gonna be digging really into my juggling here, I'm gonna go for it. But then the most shy person you can imagine all of a sudden gets really good friend with the Hungarian belly dancer, you know, like, and it's really interesting combinations that show up there, and these can like crack people open much easier than let's say the third time that you tell them, but don't you want to volunteer? You know, it would be really nice to volunteer tonight. Like, we just need somebody just like you. That will like drive those people even more away.
Simon, what do you have a comment on this?
Yeah, I was thinking about why the juggling community seems like such an open community, also willing to volunteer. But maybe that's to do with the hobby itself, because juggling is really about self-improvement. So also organizing for me is also about improvement and really seeing the different fields and really learning all these kind of stuff. And I think also with volunteering, you also get an insight in how things work. So because there's this rule for online communities that you have only 1% of a community is a creator, and then 9% is a contributor, and the 90% is are called lurkers. So they just are part of the community, but they don't really contribute to it. But I think those percentages in the juggling community are quite different, and we have a lot more creators and contributors. And it's nice to see that it's different here. And
Do you have a comment on this, Bags?
The way I think about why I like to teach is because when I show someone something, I learn so much from the experience, and I get so much back. And I guess that's the wonderful thing about teaching kids. You get so much back from them. It's teaching and sharing what you know is such a wonderful and satisfying experience. And for me, it feels like the most important thing I can do with all this time I've taken developing my skills. If I can share it with someone, it's for selfish reasons as much as anything. It makes the other person happy, but I get so much back from the experience. It's such a wonderful thing to be part of, and to see how much you can give someone doing it, how much I get from it. Yeah, it makes it all something that I feel compelled to do.
I mean,
yeah. Okay. I'm actually. Thank you guys. That was very informative, I think, and different opinions. That was very nice. I'm actually wondering, and I'll start with you, Bags, here, about, because a lot of these activities are volunteering. How do you support yourself or sustain yourself? Because I think this is a consideration when people are wondering, I'd really like to give more, but I have a life. I have a job, I have commitments, I have a family. How can I make a difference? How do you balance that, and how does that work for you?
It's a massive challenge, and I rely on the support of the larger community. So when we do one of these projects, we do a fundraiser. So I'll do a Kickstarter fundraiser or something like that, where we get other people to contribute to help us to raise the funds so we can go and do it. And it's a massive time commitment. The ones at the moment are 3 months long, which is a huge amount of time to take out of your earning for the year, but it's worth it. I don't think you can put a price on that time. I think all my experiences with PWB, I feel that they've changed my life and defined me as a person. So you have to look at that. Is it worth spending 3 months of your time not earning any money, but doing something that's so much more important than worrying about how much money you're earning every week?
And I think, again, in the context of individuals and what appeals to one person and the other.
Yeah.
And Simon, did you have a comment on this one? Because your list of what you're involved in, plus your masters, I wonder if you get any sleep.
I really like doing it, so I get a lot of energy of it. But only when I organized the the Juggling Convention, my study suffered a little bit from it. But you get so much back from the people at the convention itself. So it's worth the extra time and the extra hours in the night working on it. So. I really love doing it. So
Fantastic. We're almost out of time, but what I would really like to do is ask how people can get involved with your projects. So Deniz and Till, how can people get involved with TADAH?
So we have mainly actually 3 ways to experience TADAH. One is volunteering either in the garden or in the hostel and staying there and being a part of the family, and training, of course, whenever they want. The second would be like artist residency, which is very cheap accommodation, staying there, living there with us all together. And the third would be like renting the place for workshops, for a big event or something.
And how did they just contact you through the website or?
Yeah, we're happy to be contacted in any way, either through Facebook, where there's the group Artist Habitat, or TADAH.eu. We're also going to leave some flyers around and maybe a poster and stuff. Just one thing to what Deniz was just mentioning, these 3 ways. Also, it's very close to the last question that you've been raising, because it basically means that some people will have rather the money to spend it because they want to go training, and that is totally legitimate, you know. As you said as well, as Bax said, different people get different things. They have different targets, and they get different things out of it. So nobody's going to judge you because you're like not trying to volunteer in any way. And the other way around, if you're volunteering, it also doesn't mean that you have any other status than the other people around. And so it's nice. Everybody can like find his niche, and we can like work it out from there.
Thanks, Till. Thanks, Till and Deniz. And Bags and Valentina, how can people get involved with Performers Without Borders?
So our website is pwb.ngo, and that has all the details on. But there's a number of different ways people can get involved. First of all, you can volunteer to do one of the projects, and our applications are open at the moment, and all the details of that is on the website. Also, we have a Fab 500 where you can donate £2 per month, or whatever that is in various other currencies, and that's helping us to create a certain amount of money where we can keep these projects going, so we can keep having equipment at the various places, we can keep it going throughout the year, and make sure Performers Without Borders can continue to do its work.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for coming along to the panel today. We've run out of time, unfortunately. Stay tuned for our next Juggling Personality of the Day interview coming up with Ori and Namir from Israel, who'll be talking about the Israeli Juggling Convention outreach programs.
Hey, what's that guy? We can dance. What's that you guys? We can dance. Your boy don't lie. We can dance. And girls on board. We can dance.